Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Jay Parikh, Global Head of Engineering, Facebook.
All right, good morning. It's great to be here. Welcome to our first big at-scale 2014. So I'm really excited to be here for actually 3 reasons. First reason is that this is the first time we've actually been able to assemble all of the folks that have attended some of the other conferences in one event like this today. And it's actually pretty incredible to see how many friends, colleagues, and actually in general just really smart people who care about scale topics like we do to be able to come and spend the day talking about these technical challenges that we have, the stuff that we're building, and sharing experiences with each other. This sure beats the shit out of any other Monday that I normally do too as well. So it's awesome to be here. Second reason that it's really good to be here is actually we raised a bunch of money for code.org today thanks to your registration fees. So as you all know, and we all want to support, we want to increase the number and also the diversity of students that have access to computer science by broadening this out to more and more schools around the world. So thank you for your contributions today, and I know it'll go a long way. So. All right, so as I mentioned before, this is the first time we've done one big event. We've done several other ones that you can see here up on the screen, and analytics at scale, data at scale, mobile, security, and sustainability. We've been doing these events in a smaller forum for about a year now, and we have plans to do a lot more over the course of the next several months as well. Now, I think it's really good that we're able to bring this community together specifically because we're trying to focus on the challenges that we all face at doing at-scale engineering. And so being able to kind of bring everything together, to bring multiple tracks together today across data, web, and mobile, instead of just having a single track, hopefully will allow you to be able to kind of dive into some topics that may be unfamiliar to you and also kind of meet other people and be able to share experiences and learn a lot, ask a lot of questions in these areas that you want to learn a lot. The entire day is technical stuff, right? So hopefully you guys have looked at the agenda. There's no vendors here promoting stuff, selling stuff, advertising stuff. We just want to kind of geek out all day and talk about technical stuff, and hopefully this will be able to impact and help you when you get back to work tomorrow. So now, we have quite a lineup of talks today, and these are the companies that are here this afternoon presenting, and also on the panel that follows my talk. But before we get into the panel and the talks, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about why I think and why we think it's important for us to build this community around scale and around being open and working together. So there's 3 things that I think kind of bring us together. First is challenges, 2 is the approach, and 3 is open. And I'm going to talk about each one of these for a few minutes. So we all face pretty unique challenges. We have unprecedented scaling challenges. Many of us have applications or services that we have to build that will scale to millions, possibly billions of people. We work on things like data infrastructure that has to scale to petabytes, tens of petabytes, hundreds of petabytes, maybe even exabytes of data being processed and stored in a data infrastructure. We have to actually deal with supporting applications, mobile applications, across thousands of different devices across our user base or customer base. And finally, we all work on taking JavaScript and making it defy the law of physics to do things that we want it to do. Now, one of the stories that I want to talk a little bit about here, just real quick, to kind of give you a perspective on the mobile world and what it's doing. As most of you know, about 2 years ago, Facebook ended up having to do a pretty radical shift in terms of building our products mobile first. We had to retool all of our build and release tools. We had to retrain the engineering team. We had to focus on all of our focus on our design and product side, with mobile being the first thing that everybody works on. And one of the things that we learned recently, I guess in the last year or so, is that we had a lot of work to do to improve the quality of our applications. Just designing and building mobile applications for the high-end smartphone and on an LTE network doesn't actually cut it. So a bunch of engineers and product managers actually flew to Africa and a few other places around the world and actually did a bunch of tests. What we found was actually pretty striking. Our apps basically sucked, right? We had the team land, they bought a bunch of devices, they found that our apps crashed often, they used too much data, they were slow, and they also were robbing basically, or basically consuming all the battery on these devices. In fact, one story goes that, or one of our engineers actually had a data plan, and just by trying to download the update to a Facebook application, he ran out of his data plan in 40 minutes. So he basically was trying to download the app for 40 minutes, and then he ran out of data because he couldn't download. He didn't have enough data to download the app. So this was pretty frustrating for us, and the team came back and spent a bunch of time over the course of the 6 months following the trip to really dig into and improve our applications so that they could work across a wider range of devices. Now, this is an ongoing problem. This never ends. We're learning more, we're doing a lot more testing, a lot more instrumentation, but with over 1 billion people using Facebook on mobile, this challenge just is getting harder and harder for us, right? There's no silver bullet, there's no easy answer here, and there's a lot for us to do. This is just one example of a type of challenge we face, and I know you guys all have similar challenges. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about here is our approach, because I think our approach to these challenges is pretty unique. We've come up with, all of us have come up with core principles and ways that we operate and ways that we've built and hired our engineering teams. And I think these are different, and they're different because most of the rest of the tech industry does not do things like this. Now, you know, the first thing that I wanted to talk about here is just one basic thing, is that we focus on simplicity, we focus on building for flexibility, and we focus on building efficiently as well. You know, we are all working on things that are big and complicated. There's a lot of interdependencies in the stuff that we actually build. We're all trying to push changes, you know, multiple times per week, hundreds, thousands of times per week, and it seems to be increasing as well. So we're trying to really focus on building our services and our application in a simple, flexible, and efficient way so that we can stay ahead of this. And one example of this that I wanted to tell that happened at Facebook was back in February, March timeframe of this year, we launched this feature called Look Back Videos. And this was basically a, you know, kind of a personalized, customized video that we generated for your experience on Facebook. And we brought together, you know, all of the different highlights and stuff that had happened to you through your time on Facebook and presented this as a custom thing that you got to see and reflect on. Well, you know, I don't know about you guys, but Mark doesn't give us these grandiose, perfect, never-changing roadmaps that are 3 to 4 years out and gives us plenty of time to go build and design our infrastructure to support these types of features. Oftentimes, we have months to build a pretty significant feature. In this case, we had only a couple of weeks to actually work on this feature. And we had to generate something like over 700 million videos in just the span of a couple of weeks. Each one is a custom video, and then being able to build, kind of piece together our infrastructure and our application in a way to make this available for people. So we pride ourselves on actually moving really fast here, and simplicity, efficiency, and flexibility in our services and the way we build stuff in this community is really paramount for all of us. Now, the second thing is that we all care about the full stack, and you're going to see that in today's talks. There's several talks today across data, mobile, and web, and all of us as engineers have to understand how to build stuff, how these things hook together, how to make them performant, how to debug things, and how to operate things, whether it be, you know, native code on a mobile device, a back-end service, a storage system, network, systems, hardware, and also the operations around this too. So all of this stuff is coming together, and you have to keep a lot of stuff in your brain these days. Now, there's a lot of talks this afternoon that kind of highlight this, you know, needing to optimize and work on the entire full stack. So hopefully you'll get an appreciation of that today. Now, the last, almost the second to last one here is measurement. And, you know, as my colleague and friend Jeff Rothschild says, instrumenting stuff is basically the ROI is immediate and the payback is forever. We all love to instrument our stuff, right? It is something that's really, really important to us. It's how we learn how our stuff is performing. It's also how we make our products better, and it actually helps us iterate faster. We can make little changes, measure the effect of them, roll it back, tweak it, make the next change, and it really, really helps us kind of rapidly develop, and also, most importantly, is actually learn really, really fast. Now, it's also important that all of us really see analysis and data visualization. It also is a really important part of measurement. It helps us understand this very complicated data and these complex systems that we're building. And so there's a lot of work that goes into how we visualize, how we process this data. And in this room this afternoon, most of the speakers are going to be talking about large-scale challenges around data infrastructure. And the other thing that I think is important here is that most of us, we work in companies where data that we gather, whether it be business metrics, application metrics, or operational metrics, are shared with the entire team, right? They're not compartmentalized in some of the bigger companies. You have data that's compartmentalized and you can't share it, or I can't see your data. But we all work together, and we want to have this open culture within our teams where data can actually be used by everybody so that we can build better stuff and learn faster together as well. All right, so the last point that I wanted to bring up here is that it's about embracing failure. Now, there's a lot of motivational posters and paraphernalia on the web around embracing failure and trying harder and all that. But I believe that the companies that are represented here today really do actually walk the walk on embracing failure. And this is a core part of our engineering cultures. And we really do promote being able to take risks and knowing that some of these risks may fail and that there will be consequences. But we don't actually punish those. We don't actually squash those or put processes in place to prevent those types of bold moves that you all want to take when you're building stuff. Now, I think that this one is one that you have to be careful about, because it is not one where you want to be thinking or being reckless, or for it to be an excuse around poor quality. We want to build our services such that we have proper bumper guards in place so that when a failure happens, the consequences of those are minimized to the users and the customers. And secondly, we want to make sure, per the earlier point, that things are measured, monitored, and so that we can respond quickly to a type of failure and be able to fix it, learn from it as well. Now, one of the examples that I think is pretty apropos for this is a Facebook project that we did a couple of months ago, where we constantly work on how to make our services and the overall platform more robust. And what we decided to do a few months ago was turn off an entire data center region. Now, why? You may be asking, why would we want to do something this crazy? Now, this is not a small thing, right? This is tens of megawatts of power that basically we turned off of capacity for an entire day to test how our systems were going to actually respond. Now, we did a lot of planning up until that point, and we did several fire drills to make sure that we would be ready for the day. But it was really important that we actually pulled the plug the day of the event. There were several people internally that were like, yeah, this is all a charade. We're never going to actually turn the light off. We're just going to get ready, and then we're just going to dodge the final exercise. But no, we didn't. We actually pushed through that. We turned the entire region off. Now, the good news is that it was actually pretty boring for us, and that all of the prep work we had done for months before actually paid off. Now, there was, doing the actual test was really important for us, because it really kind of surfaced out the unknown unknowns for us. And we were able to, find a bunch of things that didn't work, and then put them back into a roadmap so that we could actually improve this. And we'll keep doing these types of drills to get better and better on the scalability of our system. But not being scared of that big type of failure was a really important part of this project. Okay, so listen, I can keep going on and on and on. There's lots of stuff here that we have, you all have, that talk about sort of the approach that we have to handling these types of challenges in our companies. Now, I think that these approaches that we have and these sort of principles that we work in, plus the challenges that I spoke about and the challenges you all face, make this community really, really unique. And it's also a key part of why I think we need to invest in building out this community in the coming years. Now, I want to shift to the last piece, which is hopefully the most obvious for everyone here, is that we're open. This community that we're trying to build is an open community. It's why we're all here. It's why we all talk. It's all why we share a number of things that we actually work on in a day-to-day fashion. Now, Mark built Facebook 10 years ago. He started off with PHP, MySQL, and then added Memcache a little bit later. This way, Mark was able to focus on connecting people and not actually having to spend his time on building out very basic infrastructure. We're able to grow today to 1.3 billion people, and Facebook's having to invest a lot of time and energy into building out our infrastructure, and a lot of it we are actually sharing back with the community as well. Now, there's a lot of power in the open source model, as we all know. It's a very valuable model for doing a lot of types of things in the world these days. It brings together hundreds, thousands of people across the industry, to solve specific problems together. And it's not just limited to your specific team that you've hired in your company. So you really get to broaden out and get expertise and information and code and solutions to the types of problems that you're facing today. And hopefully that enables you to go a lot faster. Now, this is not a new model, right? We've been doing open source for a really long time. So, you know, the community is great when you are the consumers of the technology. The community gets to direct what the plan forward and the roadmap is going forward so that they can kind of weave it the way they want to in terms of how it solves their problems or your problems. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about a new trend that I think we're seeing, which is because we're bringing a set of folks together that focus on at-scale challenges, we're seeing an opportunity here to sort of build a new type of collaboration around this sort of openness and around building this community. Now, I believe that only open is scalable, right? So only are we going to be able to build out this community when we focus on these types of scalability challenges that we're all facing and dealing with. And these are the companies that have, that are here today. Many of you have participated in some of these other at-scale conferences. And we've come a long way, but we still have a lot more to do in terms of building this community. And I'm really excited to actually see us all come together and figure out what we're going to do next here. So my favorite example recently is actually a project that launched back in March of this year called WebScale SQL. Now, WebScale SQL is actually run by these four companies. These four companies have come together to basically take their collective experience of running MySQL at large scale. So we have lots of war stories and sort of big scale deployment use cases to bring together and to actually take MySQL 5.6 and to start overlaying it and making it better with performance features, operational enhancement, bug fixes, and other types of enhancements so that we can run our version of MySQL on our large infrastructures better and better together. Now, one of the things that we're going to actually announce this week in a couple of days is this feature, Global Transaction ID. And this was a base feature in 5.6, but we found as we were running it at Facebook, trying to run it at Facebook, that there was several things that weren't kind of worked out with it to be able to run it at the type of scale that any of these companies on the screen would need to do. So we worked on bug fixes, we've worked on making it faster, we also worked on making it just more operationally sane to run, and that's going to be something that we put into WebScale SQL this week, and everybody will be able to benefit from this. Now, if I forgot to mention, WebScale SQL is also open. So if you're thinking about how to solve your MySQL challenges because you're facing some scalability challenges or problems, then I definitely encourage you to connect with this group and to check out the GitHub project so that maybe you can benefit from some of the work that's going into this project. Now, I wanted to just say one more thing here, which is based on the stuff that's happening here in WebScale SQL, we're going to announce a new project today. And the project is called the To-Do Project. It stands for Talk Openly and Develop Openly. And it's still very early on, but the idea here is that this set of folks are coming together and working on how to make open source better. We want to figure out how we can actually raise the bar in terms of the quality of types of open source projects there are in the world. We want to make it easier to consume open source. So if you're getting started and you want to consume or you need help or want to use something, we want to make it easier for you to consume. And if you're a company that is wanting to do open source work and to build a community or to contribute, but you don't know where to get started, the To-Do group is going to be the group that's going to help you. Now, we have still a lot to figure out here, and we just really got started only a couple weeks ago in terms of pulling this team of people together. So if you're interested, the URL is at the bottom here, www.todogroup.org. So please sign up and help us out. We need a lot of help here. We've made a lot of progress in building this overall community, but I still feel like we got a long way to go. And with that, I think I'm done. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.